Hello, you guys. Today we're going to be talking about our fourth assignment. So, this is going to be called Mighty Minis, and the goal of this is to create scenes that stir the soul. So, as the assignment overview, this assignment is going to encourage you guys to explore the artistic application of scale and proportion by designing and building a miniature scene. Now, you're going to be using polymer clay and mixed materials to create your scenes. You are going to be responsible for developing your own concept for the assignment. So the scene you create can be about anything you desire as long as it is an original concept. So you guys do have to come up with your own idea as the guiding point for your project. Now, please remember your scene must be thoughtfully constructed and it must evoke a sense of emotion. So your goal is to come up with something that can, in fact, stir the soul. Now, our objectives are going to be to understand and apply the concepts of scale and proportion in a three-dimensional work of art. You're also going to learn how to create a visually compelling scene that tells a story or evokes a specific emotion. You guys will also develop skills in working with polymer clay as our primary medium, but you can also work with various mixed materials to create your scenes. Now you'll also learn how to effectively blend your creation with an existing or fabricated environment to enhance its impact. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we progress on. So there are some assignment requirements because you guys are going to have an idea development assignment along with this, and I do have that assignment linked for you in the Moodle page. So you guys are going to have some concept development here. So as part of this, I want you to choose a theme or inspiration for your scene. Now this can be from a dream, it could be a movie, it could be a favorite book, or any event that holds personal significance, or anything else of your choosing. That's just to help you start to brainstorm your concept. Now, I also want you to ensure your chosen theme is something that you are passionate about and wish to recreate in detail. When we work small, we have to add a lot of detail to keep the eye interested in our sculptural pieces. So I want you guys to work with something you're passionate about and really determined to execute thoughtfully in your pieces. So coming up with a concept you're excited about is step one. Now, you guys are also going to do some design and planning. You guys are going to be sketching your ideas and planning out the elements you're going to include in your scene. The better plan you have going in for your project, the stronger your piece is going to be. Now, I have a couple of extra little details that are going to guide our design and planning, and those are linked in that Moodle page. Now, I also want you guys to consider the scale and proportion of each element in your scene in relation to the whole scene. So when we're thinking about miniatures, we're thinking about scaling things way down. So having a good idea of the actual scale things are going to be in your piece can really help you with building and designing. Now, as you're planning this, I also want you guys to think about the emotions you want to convey through your scene, and that can help guide the tone of your installation piece. Now, you guys will also need to think about materials. You guys are going to use polymer clay as your primary medium, and I'm going to be giving you guys some polymer clay for this. You guys will also be incorporating mixed materials. These could be fabric, found objects, paper, or natural elements to enhance your scene. Now, I want you guys to fabricate almost everything that goes into your scene. So I don't want you guys going out and purchasing like dollhouse pieces or things like that. Instead, I want you guys to actually build your parts for your small miniatures. Now, you guys will also have a construction period. So you'll actually be building your scene using the materials that you select. And I also, during this time, want you to pay attention to details and craftsmanship to ensure a polished final project. And the reason for this is we're going to be looking at these really closely since they are miniature. So you guys definitely need to focus on craftsmanship. We have to be so tight with our craftsmanship on small objects. Otherwise, we can kind of be pulled out of the scene. Now, you guys will have two options for presenting your scene. The first one will just be a sculptural presentation. So that would be displaying your scene as a standalone sculpture. You guys could also do a photographic installation if that's your preference. So that would be installing your piece in a specific location and then capturing high quality photographs that blend your creation with the chosen environment. That'd be super similar to what we just did with our nature-based installations. So if there's somewhere specific you need to put your piece, you certainly can. Back when I was in school, I used to create miniatures in the old phone nooks that I had in the apartment building I was living in. and those were actually a place where I would then photograph my installation. So if you want to just turn in the photograph, that's totally fine as well. And then regardless of the presentation method you guys choose, you're going to document your process through sketches, progress photos, and then a brief written description of your inspiration and the emotions you aim to evoke. The reason for this is you guys are coming up with your very own concept. So having a good, strong understanding of what you're trying to do with your concept is going to be helpful going into critique. Now, this is my evaluation criteria. I'm essentially going to be looking at creativity and originality. I want you guys to have a really imaginative scene, so I'm going to be looking for that. I'm also going to be looking for technical skill. So that's going to be the quality of your craftsmanship and the attention to detail you put into the miniature scene. And now I'll also be looking for your application of scale and proportion. I want to see these elements working inside of your design. And I'd also like you guys to really think about the emotional impact. So that's going to be the ability for the scene to evoke emotion and tell a story. Then I'm also looking for the presentation and documentation. That's going to be the quality of the final presentation and the thoroughness of your documentation. Now I have a few artists that I've linked on the Moodle page for you guys to take a look at. This is the first artist. Now, this artist does a lot of pieces that have beautiful texture and they tell a stirring scene and tell a story. So this is an image of a frog walking a snail on a leash. There's a storyline there. What I love is the attention to detail in the footwear and the clothing. All of this is designed and executed using the polymer clay. Now, this artist uses some selective natural materials such as the moss and some of the stones for the piece. That's going to be acceptable if you guys want to use natural materials, but I want you guys fabricating everything else for your pieces. So this is installed inside of a little bowl, so it almost creates a sense of context or a home where this is actually happening. It's almost like thinking about the stage design for a play. Now you guys can see that excellent detailing in the texture of the shorts and in the shoes with that lace being untied. There's just some really sweet and thoughtful details here. Now this is Frank Kuhnert. This is much more of a traditional type of miniature making. He hand fabricates all the objects in the scenes, which is what I want you guys to do. Now he is a photographer, so he's known for creating these kind of painstakingly detailed miniature worlds and then photographing them, and he always does unexpected things. So here we have a graveyard with the two coffins underneath that are set up like a bed, and then you have the bedside table, so it's kind of playing with our expectation of what the afterlife might look like. Now this is a Christmas scene. I thought this one was pretty funny. You have the snow happening on the inside rather than the outside of the house. So it's kind of turning our expectations upside down. I just want you guys to take a moment to look at that beautiful detailing in the wallpaper and the ornaments, and also the beautiful detailing up in that crown molding along the ceiling. So all of this would be hand fabricated to create a really strong emotional response. Now here we have another one of his pieces. I kind of love the juxtaposition here between the nice, clean, bright, modern building and then that sort of decaying old building with the trash along the outside. So he's definitely trying to do a push and pull between who has access to wealth and resources. Now this is Slinka2. You guys are probably familiar with his work from our early presentation about the elements. We actually looked at his work for proportion. Sorry, blanked out there. So this is Slinka2, and he's pretty famous for abandoning his miniature people on the streets of cities around the world, and he's been doing this since 2006. Now his work embodies the elements of street art, sculpture, installation art, as well as photography. Oftentimes his work is abandoned out on the street, so the only bit of information we have about it comes from the photographs he actually takes, unless you're happening to run into one of those in the wild. So this is a pretty funny piece abandoned inside of a museum. So this was in the museum. It looked like just an ordinary purse, but on the inside of the purse was a miniature museum with all of the items that you would traditionally find in a purse on display here on the wall. I love the people kind of mingling about. This is almost mirroring the exact way that the people are mingling about in the actual gallery this piece is in. So this is what I mean when I talk about creating your object inside of something that already exists. If you guys want to find some sort of vessel or container to build your installation inside of, you're welcome to do that. So the container for this particular project is the purse itself. Here are a couple close-up photos, so everybody wandering and navigating and looking at all the things inside of the purse. Now here we have another one of his pieces. This guy is just riding out on this tea bag as if it pours out of the cup, and the tag is actually catching the wind, so it's like he's sailing. Here we have a couple of people doing tug of war over money. You have the ordinary people on the right-hand side, and then you have the business people on the left-hand side. And they're in a tug of war match for the money. It's sort of tearing at the center, which gives us a sense of activity and tension. Now here's another one of his. He does a lot where he's actually responding to the environment. So he found these slick pieces of tile on the ground and he read them as water. So here's a little sinking ship down into the water. So that's being playful and experimenting with the environment. This would be one that's shown as a photograph rather than a standalone sculpture, since we won't be able to travel to your pieces. Now here we have another one on a parking lot. I love that he's playing with the color of the parking lot. So you have the bright yellow strip that he's envisioning as the sandy beach, and then the cement as the water. You have a cute little sailboat and just these people enjoying a day at the beach. So this is a really playful and really imaginative way to interact with the environment around us. And then I'm just going to show you a ton of these because I love them. This is fun, seeing an actual damaged barrier and then thinking about what could have possibly damaged it. And I love seeing this little sci-fi scene play out where you have this battle happening to actually chip and break that. I think it's really fun. It gives us a sense of activation and it tells a full story, which is your goal. Here we have someone skiing down one of those electrical boxes. And then this is a set of artists. So these artists are professional food photographers, but they take a really playful way of approaching the food photography. And they always have these kind of little diagrams that are almost like dioramas. So this is people interacting with food. They're always miniature and the food becomes oversized and then sort of becomes almost like an environment for these people to play out their scenes. So here's golfing for sprinkles. This guy is a sculptor working to reveal the inside of the peanut. So he's chipping away that peanut shell. Here we have some people trying to revive these dead grapes by blowing them up. I mean, it's just such a great sense of humor and it's such a playful take on this sort of built sculptural environment. Now this is a really fun one. The egg broke, so here they are cleaning it up. This one is actually mining for the watermelon seeds, so trying to pull the watermelon seeds out using tools. It is really playful and really creative. In this case, the context is the food, but the food becomes something altogether different with the people involved and the scale and proportion. Now, this one's one of my favorites. Here's mowing the kiwi fruit to get the fur off of it. And then this is another artist. This is Lisa Swirling, and she creates miniature things that she calls glass cathedrals, and they just let you in on tiny moments in her life. So she makes all of her pieces inside of shadow boxes, and she plays with humor and lightness of being. So she wants these scenes to be kind of like escapism or something peaceful and playful. So here we have this scene that has the kind of sparkly wallpaper behind, and then she fabricated all these birds. And she was envisioning herself flying away with the birds, so she gave herself a set of wings so she could take flight. Here we have another one with all sorts of romance happening. So you have the original names written on the back of the tree, and then each time somebody's been added to the family, they have a new sign carved into the tree. This one is pretty fun to me. The world is a scary place, but I have water wings. So she's kind of giving an inspirational quote there and also just being playful with the environment. These ones are very minimalist, but I think the emotion that they evoke is really potent. And this one is in case of dullness, blow, and then it's just glitter all over the place. We all know what happens when we get glitter all over. And then this is Christopher Nordstrom. This is a much more traditional scale miniature. So these are hyper-realistic 1:20 scale replicas of buildings in Tokyo. And so he's very inspired by Tokyo, but he lives a long way from Tokyo. So he skims through Google Street View and takes what he calls digital strolls around Tokyo to find storefronts that inspire him and houses that he wants to build. He then creates models of these sources and he modifies them to make them kind of look exactly what he wants them to look like. So I love these because they have a sense of age and they each tell a story. And it's just like the way of getting to know something while still being really far away. I really especially like the ghost painting he did of the old Honda sign up at the top, but these are all in true scale too, so everything's scaled out and proportioned perfectly. If you guys want to work like this, I recommend working with cardstock and other paper-like materials to help build your scenes. I love all the broken leaves and the kind of dinginess of the place that he created with this particular project. Now here are a few more of his pieces. A lot of this is fabricated out of paper. He's got a really great Instagram if you guys want to go look at his pieces, but I even love the little laundry thing coming out and the stains on the wall from water damage. There's just so many beautiful things happening inside of these pieces. Here we have a couple more. Even look at that chevron brickwork there. It's totally beautiful, and he pays real attention to the details he sees on Google Street View. I mean, if you've ever fantasized about living someplace else, maybe this is a cool opportunity to go look around the place you hope to live in. Here we have his workshop, so you guys can actually see the scale of the materials here. Working a lot with paper, with cardstock, with pigments, and different things. Now, I also want to open it up so that you guys can work more out of your imagination if you guys don't want to work so much from reality. So these are all really fantastical, sort of fantasy-driven miniatures. I'm just wanting you guys to work in a small scale and tell a story with your pieces. Here are a few more of her images. I can totally feel emotions from each of these. Part of that is the way the face is sort of relaxed in that kind of neutral gesture, but it's also the use of symbolism. All these things that these people are wearing on their chest are an expression of their internal world and their desires. Now here we have a few of her pieces. So these ones have the natural flower. They also have the plain white of the clay. So you guys can choose to alter your pieces through painting. You guys can work with acrylic paint on the surface of the polymer clay, or you guys can keep it the white neutral of the clay, just depending on what you like. Now this is Ace of Clay. I put a few of his videos up on the Moodle page. He's a real technician when it comes to working with polymer clay, so he can be a great resource for learning and working through some of these specific things. He's really driven by character design and working from pop culture. So a lot of his art pieces actually reference things from pop culture. Now that may be something that you're super interested in. I'm definitely down with you guys referencing pop culture as long as you're innovating it and altering it to come up with your own unique designs. Here we have a couple, the Mad Hatter. You can see it finished and then you can also see it here in progress. And this is one of the videos I popped up there for you. Now, as far as inspiration, I just have a few more artists to show you guys just so you can start to think about your own designs. So I just wanted to throw these out there. I won't talk at length about them. I just wanted you to see potential things that you could kind of work on. Remember, I'm down for you guys to work really fantastically. You can work with textile and mixed materials to create outfits and to alter your creatures and to create context. I really enjoy this one with the tears making up the swing set. There's something really playful about that. And then I also want you guys to know that you can work fully abstract if that's something that works better for your creative identity. Now this is another artist and I put some videos up there kind of creating context with found materials in this one if you want to focus on really creating something in detail. Now I wanted to show you guys this cutie little chair. Anything that goes into your scene, I want you guys to fabricate with the exception of whatever vessel or maybe container you're going to work in if you choose to do so. Now, if there's things that you do want to pre-purchase, just let me know. We can kind of talk about it and I can approve that for you if it's something that's appropriate to be purchased versus built. Now here we have some miniature ceramics. You can see the scale of these with the Oreo and also the fingers there. And these ones are actually thrown on a wheel, which is super exciting. Now, you guys can also work with paper fabrication if you guys don't want to work with clay for the whole project. So I'm open to you guys doing some sort of like tunnel book version of this, or even working with wire and mixed materials to create things that look similar, but wouldn't necessarily be like an exact replica of whatever you're trying to build. Now, this is what I mean by you can go out and purchase from like a thrift store, find something cool to build on the inside of. Like you guys could find an old clock or maybe an old radio or something like that to build out. Old boxes are really cool. Suitcases could be a neat place for context here. And you guys can make really fantastical scenes. Each of these tell a really unique story, especially that one on the right-hand side with all these kind of fallen, collapsing bookshelves and the overgrown moss and materials growing up them. Now, I want you guys to be ambitious and have a lot of fun with this. We're going to have a little bit to work on this project, so I want you guys to take your time. Please reference back to the Moodle page to see my idea development assignment I have for you, and you guys will be coming back on Tuesday ready to present your object. So make sure you guys take a look at the idea development activity. That's going to carry us through the class. Thank you guys. I can't wait to see your ideas.